And I think it just kind of evolves, right? So someone comes in, they tell me they're making a quilt for this grandbaby, and I'm cutting, 12 half yards for this quilt, and we're just chatting. So it becomes a very casual conversation. It becomes very comfortable. And I think when people feel comfortable, they share more. And then they're like, oh, I want to go there because I was happy the last time I was there. And so they keep coming back, to share when the baby comes. And then they have to show me the picture of the baby on the quilt. And
Welcome to the Quilt Scouts podcast. I'm Megan, your Quilt Scout leader and fellow adventurous quilter. This is a cozy campfire chat for quilters who crave creativity, community, and a gentle nudge to try something new. Each week, we'll talk about quilting and the small adventures that help us grow more confident, one stitch at a time. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Today's episode feels like stepping into a quilt shop on a sunny afternoon. You know the kind, where the fabric is stacked just right. Someone's cutting yardage at the counter, and there's always a conversation happening somewhere in the room. I'm sitting down with Sandy, the owner of Little Sandy's Quilt Shop in Arvada, Colorado, a shop that started as a maybe we should do this idea and turned into a full-blown community hub almost overnight. In this conversation, we talk about what it really looks like to run a quilt shop behind the scenes, the surprising challenges, the unexpected joys, and how something that starts as a business can quickly become so much more than just selling fabric. Sandy shares how her shop has grown into a space where people come not just to shop, but to connect, to celebrate new babies, to process grief, to make friends, and to find a little spark of joy on an ordinary day. We also dive into what it's been like for her to become a Quilt Scouts base camp, how she hosts her meetings without a classroom space, and some of the creative, community-driven experiences she's built, like stargazing on quilts under the Colorado sky. This episode is really about the heart of quilting, the stories, the people, and the spaces that bring us together. So, whether you have a local quilt shop you love, or you're still searching for your quilting home base, I think you're going to feel right at home in this conversation. Sandy, welcome to the Quilt Scouts podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm back from, I think like a long road trip. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things.
Nice. Yeah. Was it fun?
It was fun. It was long. It was a round trip to the Midwest and back, multiple stops, multiple hotels. So it's tiring. It's nice to be home, but it was a good trip.
Yeah.
Well, Sandy, tell us, for those that don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, we moved here 7 years ago to Colorado. I'm a mom of 5, and because I needed something else to do besides take care of my kids, I decided that I would open a quilt shop. During COVID, I had to find something to do. I've always sewn. I've always made costumes for the kids for Halloween and all of that. And so it was just kind of a natural thing to go into quilting. But during COVID, I had just had a baby, and we decided that we could go out into our little mini bubble, which was my mom's house. So I went over there and did online quilting classes with her because she was like, oh, we should sew. I'm like, okay. So while the baby napped, I would sew with her. So then we started venturing out when we were allowed to go to quilt shops and see stuff. And I just couldn't find all the stuff that I liked online in a store here. So I said, well, maybe we should open a quilt shop, kind of jokingly to my husband. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Well, we went to Garden of Quilts in Utah with my mom and my godmother, who happens to be Big Sandy. Which is why the shop is named Little Sandy.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And she's a quilter. So we went to there, and when we went shop hopping, and I just loved all the shops out there. And I said, man, this is like all the fabric I love. We need that in Colorado. So jokingly, I told my husband, like, we should do it. We should open a quilt shop. But he was like, okay. And like within 3 months, we had our LLC, and 6 months later, we had the shop.
Oh my goodness. What a whirlwind. Well, we love a supportive husband. We love a good quilt husband. That's great. So your godmother is Sandy also.
Yes. And she's a quilter.
Big Sandy, Little Sandy. And your shop is called Little Sandy's Quilt Shop. And where are you in Colorado?
In Arvada.
Okay. When did you first open? You said it was 3 years ago, right?
the end of June of 2023.
So, what did those early days look like when you first opened your doors? Tell me about that.
Well, scary, right? I mean, you're opening a business and you have no idea what's going to happen, if it's going to be successful or not. And so it's funny, I look back at the pictures of when we first opened and the shop looks so different. My daughter posted, I think it's on our Instagram. My daughter was there opening day and there's like this huge trash can, like in the middle of her video, like, hey, we're open, come see us, right? And there's like this trash can in there, kind of funny. But there's like hardly any shelves. There's like hardly any quilts on the wall. Um, it's so blank, it seemed like. And I thought, man, like, are people really going to shop here? Like, do we have enough stuff? And we just grew, like, our inventory started to come in, we had to add more shelves, of course, we got more samples on the wall, the people were coming, and some of the people that I still have coming today have been with me since the very beginning and watched the whole transition, so that's kind of been really cool to.
I love that. You have some like really loyal customers.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, it is funny when you look back just to see the growth. And you grow into a space, right? You realize you need to rework some things or create more space for other stuff. And I'm like
Yeah,
trying to use it every
and
square
we
inch.
get that way too, like, all of a sudden, it'll be like, "Oh, no, where are we gonna put that new collection? Do we need to put more shelves, or we need to, like, take stuff out or rearrange things?" And
But I mean, not getting the collection isn't an option. Like I have to have that new collection.
yeah, you have to have it. You have to have it. Yeah, and I love to buy fabric.
Yes, I know, same. It's I wanna say a problem, but I don't feel like it's a problem. Like, I feel like it's a solution. Yeah, like when the Happy Camper collection came out, I was like, "Well, gotta get this whole collection, I'll just
Yeah,
figure out where to
100%.
put it." Don't have a
Yeah.
plan for it, but I'll make it work. So, what surprised you most about owning a quilt shop?
Probably how much work it was. And running the business and having a family life because I have 5 kids, only 2 of them are at home, but still it's a lot. And that even just, cooking dinner and being home and getting the kids off to school and coming, to the shop and getting samples made and all that kind of stuff, getting emails out and doing Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just way more work than I expected. I love it all, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely a lot more work than I thought it was gonna be, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like some of the things you never would have thought about having to tackle as a business owner. Gosh, I mean, the sales taxes. I mean, maybe that one's obvious for some people, but like when you're opening a store, you don't think about those little things. Oh, I have to have a license or I have to have insurance and I have to have do taxes. And it's just like,
Yep.
man, I thought this was going to be way easier, but those little things sneak up on you. And then those little fires you got to put out through the day. And then, like you said,
Yes,
balancing
yeah.
that with family life too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot.
it's a lot, and I think the other big thing that really surprised me was or that I didn't expect, I guess, was all the friendships that I would make, like, through the years. I mean, it's just been amazing, like, some of these people are now, like, my really good friends that I can't imagine my life without.
Aw.
So, that's just been really awesome. So, especially, like, my long arm quilter, I met her when I was quilting with my mom before I opened the shop, right? And she happens to live in my neighborhood, and I found her on Nextdoor, 'cause I had this quilt top I needed quilted. And so I found her, and so I was having her quilt my quilts for 2 years before I opened the shop. And now she's the long arm quilter for my shop. So and her and I, we've been friends for this whole time, and it's just so nice. But so many of my regular customers have become really good friends of mine, and, we know a lot about each other, about our families, and, you know, check up on each other, and that was really kind of unexpected. I guess I didn't think that I thought I was just gonna be providing fabric for people, I guess.
Like you thought it would be more transactional and not so much maybe
Yeah.
heartfelt with it, right? Yeah, that's so sweet. The friendships that get built over, cutting fabric, talking about fabric. I can
Yeah,
only imagine.
or who
Yeah.
you're making it for and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you have someone come in asking questions about, fabric for a baby quilt. And then it's the conversation, well, who's the baby? And there's a whole backstory to the project that they're making.
Yep, and just being able to, like, share the everyday stuff. We're right next to a post office and a library. So I see a lot of people or they'll say like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to the grocery store, but, I'm the side trip," so they can come and see what's going on or, that kind of thing. So it's just funny how that's evolved from customers coming into the shop that now they're coming to check on me because, like I had surgery last year, or how's your daughter was sick last week? How is she this week? It's just interesting that it's become more than just buying fabric.
You're a community hub.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people see quilt shops as places to buy fabric, right? Just like a transactional place. But anyone who spends time in one or knows what it's like to be in a quilt shop or a fabric shop, there's so much more to that, right? So from your perspective, what really happens inside a quilt shop beyond the fabric?
Well, of course, there's friendships because people come in together, right? They come in with like mother-daughter, or they come in with their quilt friends. So you already have the friendships walking through your shop, but then they also like become my friends because they're talking to me about who they're making the quilt for, and it just creates conversation. But I think after that, then it becomes a safe space for people, or it becomes like a happy place for people. Because why wouldn't you want to be around fabric that makes everybody happy, right? And beautiful quilts, right? So
Yeah.
these last couple of years with my regular customers, I've seen a lot of life transitions. And so I think that that's made it just a really neat community, and realized that it's not just about the fabric, that people come in here just to get a boost of happiness or a little spark of joy, um, by looking at the fabric. I mean, people come through the door and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were here," or and so you just see their face light up when they walk in, or I just was dropping something off at the post office and I just wanted to come in and look at pretty fabric, you hope they buy stuff, but sometimes they're just coming in here just to look around, and they always seem to leave with a smile on their face. So, um, it's just nice that I'm not just bringing the fabric, but that I'm bringing that to people also, which has been nice. And right after I opened, actually, because we opened in late June, in November, one of my regular customers, she was already a regular a couple months in, and she walked in and she just wasn't looking herself. And at the time, I had a bench in the front of my shop, and she kind of walked all the way to the back, and I thought that was kind of odd for her. So I went back there and I said, "Hey, like, is everything okay?" And she just started crying. And so I gave her a hug. And she said, "Well, my husband died 2 days ago." And I was like, "What?" So we just sat on the bench and we talked, and she let me know everything that happened. And she's since moved out of state, but she still like emails me and orders online. But she really started quilting after that, and said that this was just her happy place, and that, coming in here and buying fabric and going home and quilting it just was so good for her. And so it's like therapy, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I mean, we joke that, oh, quilting's my therapy, right? Like, I feel like I've heard that so many times,
mhm.
but there's so much truth to that for so many of us.
Well, we sell bags here in the shop that have on my way to therapy.
Yes, perfect. I was going to say maybe it's cheaper than actual therapy, but it might not be with the cost of fabrics and notions and
Yeah,
everything
no,
else.
it is not. When the husbands come in here and they ask about it, or they say like, "Oh, can you tell me about quilting and what does it involve and what do I need?" I'm like, "Well, I just want to let you know it's not a cheap hobby."
Yeah.
Definitely not a cheap hobby.
So, why do you think quilt shops become such a safe and supportive space for people?
Well, you can't be unhappy in a quilt shop. I mean, I'm a pretty cheerful person just naturally. So I think that that helps. The shop is really well lit in here. So it's just, there's no way for it to be gloomy in here. So I just think it's just looking at all the fabric, being around people that are joyful, I think helps. It's, probably just exude happiness, I guess. I don't know. And I think it kind of comes to what quilting was a long time ago, where people got together that was the time when they could be together, where they got around the quilt frame and quilted, and that's how they shared what was going on in the community, because nobody lived, right next door, right? So you would go to somebody's house for a quilting bee or whatever, and you would quilt, and that's when you would chat with everybody. So I feel like it's almost unconscious that people come here to become a community and talk and be friends and all of that.
Almost want to say they are unconsciously or subconsciously seeking community, right? And I feel like a quilt shop and a fabric
Absolutely.
shop is a place to do that. Whether we realize we're doing it or not, making quilts is storytelling. And then when we're talking about the quilts that we're making, we're sharing stories, we're sharing life stories. So yeah, there's so many layers to that.
And I think it just kind of evolves, right? So someone comes in, they tell me they're making a quilt for this grandbaby, and I'm cutting, 12 half yards for this quilt, and we're just chatting. So it becomes a very casual conversation. It becomes very comfortable. And I think when people feel comfortable, they share more. And then they're like, oh, I want to go there because I was happy the last time I was there. And so they keep coming back, to
Yeah,
share when the
yeah.
baby comes. And then they have to show me the picture of the baby on the quilt. And it's my fabric. They say, oh, here's the quilt with your fabric.
Yeah, they gotta show off their makes.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like Little Sandy's Quilt Shop has really become a community hub for Arvada, right?
Yeah, because I don't have any other quilt shops really near me. I have the one in Golden, which is like 15 minutes, but otherwise I'm a good 30 minutes from another quilt shop. So
Yeah.
this community really needed it. And so I'm glad that I was able to do that at the right time.
Yeah, it sounds like it was the
And I
perfect
also
timing.
think, because it happened right after COVID, I feel like there was a lot of people, I hear it, I took classes online during COVID. There was so much of that happened. And now people are really wanting to be with people again, now that we're so far out of COVID, right? And so people are just begging for that community and to be part of something. And there's just so much to that sewing together and just being able to chat while you sew. It's something easy to do while you're sewing. You could chat and be together and have a snack or, a beverage or whatever it is and be together. So trying to create and doing it, I mean, it's just natural, I feel like.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny you say that because Quilt Scouts started as an online membership, an online community, but the base camps started because people were requesting it. They wanted something to do in person and meet up with
Mhm.
other scouts in person. So it's funny you're saying that. I do. I feel like people are craving that and they're wanting that, and they specifically asked for it from Quilt Scouts, which is why we came up with the base camps thing, which Little Sandy's Quilt Shop is a base camp for Quilt Scouts. So can you tell me a little bit about how you first learned about Quilt Scouts and what made you want to become a base camp in Arvada?
Well, one of my friends actually showed me your website and she was like, hey, like, have you seen this? This is so cool. And she's like, you should be a base camp. And I was like, okay. So I went home that night and like read through your whole website and everything. And I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And because we don't have a classroom space, because we're so small, I was like, well, maybe I could try to pull this off. Maybe this would kind of be a good transition space for that. Even though we can't do classes, we could still sit around the campfire, so to speak, and chat and teach each other and have show and tell. Because I was kind of previously doing that the first Saturday of every month. I was having like a Saturdays with Sandy, and I would do kind of like shop talk, like what's new in the store, that kind of thing. But that was kind of all it was. So this just was like the next step, I feel like, where I'm still gathering people in the shop, but we're learning something. We're earning our badges. We're doing show and tell. We're making friendships. I mean, it's been so great. I love it.
It's a community within a community for your shop there. So can you talk about what a normal like base camp meeting looks like at your shop?
Yeah. Um, so we just had ours on Thursday, so it's kind of fresh in my head, which is great. So it was the Weise badge, and I made the Lemoyne star. And I was really intimidated because I was like, oh, I don't know if I can teach this because I don't know anything about it. So I put it out there like, hey, I'm going to teach you what I know that I learned from Megan, but this is what we're going to do. So what I usually do is set up a circle of chairs in the front of the shop. I have kind of like a big space in the, and so we kind of sit like in a campfire style. And I usually have like a goodie on the chair. So this time we had like a little mint and a cutting mat from the dollar store to use as a template and a Sharpie. So it gave them something to do to take home to use for our Y seam pattern. So everybody comes in, we kind of like, hey, hello. And then I just kind of go in. I had step outs for the Lemoyne Star. So I show everybody the pattern, show them what I've made, if I have the finished product or not. And then anybody else has anything to share about Y seams, we kind of make an open forum kind of. And then um share tips and tricks, and then we do a show and tell. Everybody brings usually what they completed from the last month's badge, which is always really fun. And then anything else they're working on or they need help with. So that's really encouraging. I love that. And then everyone gets to shop. And since we do it at night, which is kind of exclusive to quilt shops, to my quilt shop, I mean. So, and they all get 10% off when they shop the night of the meeting.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that.
And then everybody kind of mingles in the shop and talks for like another like half an hour to 45 minutes.
A social hour, yeah. So once you tackled one Lemoyne star with the Y seam, because we did a traditional, we went tradish with this block
Right.
because we specifically
Yeah.
wanted to learn the Y seams,
Yeah, it
not
was
like the
worth it.
modified HST, right? So once you tackled one of the Lemoyne stars, do you feel more confident with the Y seams? I'm curious.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm making a table runner.
Okay, cool. Because you know what's funny? I feel like it's like a blind leading the blind situation. My Lemoyne star was that was like the first one I did too. And I did a couple like as I was writing the pattern and writing the instructions for it. So I'm new to Y seams as well. So I was trying to write the instructions and like the video tutorial from like a beginner perspective, literally because I'm a beginner. So I was like, okay, what did I find confusing in this? And how can I make that more
It was
clear in
so
the
good.
tutorial? So okay, good.
It was so good. And I just told everybody, like, the directions are so well written. So just go step by step and do it and keep it right next to you. Because I mean, the graphics are perfect. Like I mean, it's like I was like folding my thing over and I was like, okay, wait, mine doesn't look like that. Okay, wait, turn it over, turn it around. Um,
So one thing I love about quilting is that people often come in during big life transitions, right? Celebrations, someone's getting married, we have to make a quilt, or grief, which you just talked about with another customer, retirement, new babies, all of it. So do you see quilting helping people process life in some way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it becomes, like you said, kind of part of the celebrations, right? So people are coming in and they're, choosing the fabrics that match the nursery so I feel like it draws them into that celebration, right? Picking the colors of the school that they're going to for college that they're making this quilt for. So it keeps them involved in that family event, right? And the grief is hard too. I see that with people bringing in clothing or, they're making t-shirt quilts with, pieces of their grandmother's or their mom's clothing or just piecing it into a quilt somehow. I recently had a customer that came in that brought in her grandmother's hexagon flowers, and she was trying to recreate more of them because she didn't have enough. And so she was trying to add in some other fabrics and she was going to hand sew them all, but she was like, "Man, no, I can't do that." So, but so I think that that was a way for her to process that her grandmother was now gone, but she was trying to carry it on by adding to this quilt that she had already started.
Yeah.
So we walked her through the process of that, which was really neat. So of course, then I'm drawn in, right? So now I want to see what it looks like afterwards and all of
I'm
that. So
invested now.
yeah. So, and I always say it too. I'm always like, you're going to bring that in when you're all done, right? Because I want to see it. You have to show it to me.
Exactly. Picturing like you're talking about like the memory quilts, like you're walking through one choosing specific clothing or t-shirts and then like the memories that come along with that and then choosing colors to go along with it, maybe the person's favorite color. So like I can see how that you can really process a lot just kind of working through building a memory quilt for somebody, just for example.
Yeah, and you also see it when people bring in older quilts that they're like, "Oh, do you repair old quilts? This was my grandma's quilt and, it's falling apart and how do I repair it?" And you can just see it in their face that it means so much to them. And it's just I guess I didn't realize when I opened the shop that quilts really were so much more than just big pieces of fabric cut into little pieces of fabric and sewn back together. There's so much more to it than just that.
So much. Yeah. So much that goes into it. Have you noticed anything change in your community since becoming a base camp?
I just think that there's just more friendships have been built in here. I've seen people who I didn't expect to become friends because now, we have our meetings only once a month. But if those people happen to be in the shop at the same time, another time, they're like, "Oh, hey," and then they start talking about, something that they talked about at the meeting or, "Hey, have you done your badge requirements yet?" That kind of a thing. So I've seen a lot of friendships build through just that alone. And of course, it was neat. I had told you previously about our stargazing on a quilt badge that we did. That was so amazing because we allowed the husbands to come or a significant other or whatever. And so that was really neat. And I think the husbands were just as invested in the quilts and everything that was going on. And so it's so nice to have, that you can just see that they were so supportive of their wives. And it was just neat to see that too. So you just really see it's such a neat community to be part of. Like I really didn't expect that.
I'm so glad you brought up the stargazing meeting. I forgot about that until you just mentioned it again because you were telling me about it at one of our base camp leader meetings that we had. What was it last
Yes.
month? And I
Yeah.
was genuinely jealous that I didn't think of this myself.
It was really fun.
And I was telling my husband about it after our meeting. I was like, "So this is what you did for the stargazing meeting," and he was just the same way. He's just like, "Well, I wish we had been there." I was like, "I know, me too." So like so much fun. So you have to tell our listeners what you did for the stargazing on a quilt badge that we did. I think it was last April, so it was almost a year ago. But you organized a base camp meeting around it, and I want to hear about it.
Yeah, we so because it was like I was a new base camp, we didn't really have like a bunch of stuff to go with, right? And I wanted to really get people together and get excited. So I pulled that one from an old
Like the
meetings. I
archives.
was like, well, we can do that. And I happen to live in an area where there's a trailhead that's really dark. And it's the perfect space. In fact, our local high school meets there for their astronomy class. And so I was like, well, and my son happened to work for Rocky Mountain National Park. And so he was willing to teach and talk about the stars and stuff at our meeting. And so I planned it where people would come and meet over there. They brought a chair because it was October and I didn't want people putting their quilts on the dirt because it's just dirt there. But everybody brought chairs, and we told them bring a star quilt if you have one, or whatever. So we went just before it got dark, and my husband and I set up our telescope, and my son told stories about some of the stars and stuff like that. And everybody just kind of huddled around like we were around a campfire. It was really cool, and everybody had quilts. Everybody just cuddled in their quilts, and we shared about the quilts. And then, as it got darker, as he was talking, then everybody looked in the telescope. It happened to be one of those times here in Colorado when we had that like orange moon.
Yes, like the
It
harvest
just
moon or whatever.
it was not planned at all. It just worked out. And so we all got to see it, which was really cool. And it was just a really fun event. And everybody was just talking and it was dark. And I don't know, there's just something about it.
Love it so much. Have you done any other meetings like that, like outside the shop?
We haven't, but we have some planned in the future. So
I can tell you put a lot of thought and care into each of the meetings. Like you said, like having the cutting mats available for this last meeting. And like, I just feel like you think of everything. I love that.
well, it's hard to incorporate when you don't have a classroom space. So we can't sew. Like I see it and I'm jealous because everybody else is like sewing together for their base camps, right? But I can't do that. So one, I have 14 people, I think, or 15 people in my base camp.
Yeah.
You need a pretty big classroom to do that. So we have to kind of modify things. And so we also did the self-care. That was another fun one. I put spa music in the shop, and we had like hot tea and chocolate, and we made the little neck warmer. I had made that. And so I shared mine, and um it was really neat. Like everybody just talked about it. And then we did chair exercises.
Nice. Yeah. Like stretching and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about different things like that to keep ourselves moving, and, you know, yeah, it was fun.
So for someone who maybe hasn't spent much time in a local quilt shop, what do you wish they knew about these spaces that we've created?
So, like, versus online shopping.
Yes.
So, if you don't have a local quilt shop, you need to find yourself one or move close to one because, um, because it's amazing. Matching fabric is the first thing. I mean, you gotta be in person to be able to match your fabric. I think that's huge. And it's just fun to shop with other people, I feel like. A lot of times people come in here alone, but I'm here to help. And so that's always fun. I love planning quilts out when people come in with a pattern and say like, "Hey, I need, 12 back quarters and a background fabric. Let's make this quilt." And so, we're walking around the store, and you just can't do that online. Even though I'm a small shop, I feel like I have something for everyone. And I'm always able to find something for someone. And if I don't, I make sure to refer them somewhere else so that, I know who carries what around me in a pretty big diameter. So I'm hoping that I'm helping other quilt shops too. And we kind of all do that, kind of refer each other.
That's smart. I mean, it's good.
There's just something different about seeing it in person. Plus, there's so much inspiration in a quilt shop, right? You've got all the quilts on the wall, and people say, "Oh my gosh, this is so cute! I could never do this." And being able to say, "Yeah, you can. It's actually pretty easy," or they just make it look difficult. And being able to help them pick out, they find a pattern. You can find any pattern online, but if you find it in the store, they're more likely to then get the fabric while they're there because, oh, I can help you find fabric for that. So it's just a better fun experience.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. Yeah, it's like that hands-on component that you don't get from online shopping. And I mean, I love a good online fabric shop too. I mean, I do a lot of online
Oh, yeah.
ordering too, but like there's just something different. It hits different when you're in person. And I feel like there's only so much creativity you can get from a computer screen, right? When you're shopping or browsing online, like when you're walking a fabric shop in the aisles and flipping through the patterns or flipping through the quilt book or whatever that's on the shelf, touching the fabric, touching the thread, like it's different. It's so much
It's
different.
totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, matching the fabrics alone is just, if you're trying to put together a quilt from a pattern, you have to be in here to bring it up to the cutting table and, match all the fabrics and, oh, that background, you think your white on white matches. Well, there's a lot of white on whites and they
Oh,
just don't
yeah.
match. They don't all match. So you have to have it in person or you think something is going to look good as with it and then you put it next to it and it doesn't. So there's just something to being in the shop that versus online.
Oh,
Plus you're
absolutely.
supporting a small business, which is always good.
Exactly. A local business. Exactly. A local business, a local family. Yes, 100%.
Well, I think the other thing is that we did our first Advent box this last year.
Tell me about that.
So I think it was in July we did our launch, and then people paid $100 deposit, and then they paid the rest later in October, and then we shipped them all out the second week of November. So there was 24 gifts inside, and so everybody was able to open a gift every day the month of December, which was great for. I mean, we know that the quilting community is a lot of older people. A lot of them are alone or they don't live near family. So maybe they don't get that. They don't have a big family, right? So being able to open a gift every single day in December brings them so much joy. And it was so amazing to hear customers in January come back and say, I loved it. It was so great. I loved getting up every morning because I got to open a present every day.
Oh, I love that.
So needless to say, we're doing it again this year in 2026.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to.
Um,
Yeah.
but that was really awesome. I kind of didn't see that either coming. I didn't realize that it would touch so many people in that way either.
Yeah, that is kind of unexpected. Like you think of it just more like the material, like getting like the little things, but like the emotional part of it, like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it brings me back to childhood too, like the anticipation of like opening something
Yeah.
up in the morning for 24 days in a row. Uh huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really sweet. Are those? Did you curate those Advent boxes yourself?
Yes.
How many did you end up having to like make? I'm just curious.
We made 60 and it was a lot. We had like an assembly line. One of my friends came over and my daughters had come over and had helped me fill all the bags and put all the stickers on with the numbers. And then we lined all the boxes up of all the days. And then you just walk down and put it all in the box times 60.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And do you ship those all over, or is it just locally?
Oh no, we shipped them all over the United States. Yeah.
Okay. So if anyone listening and they want to get in on this, are you opening it up again in July for like signups?
I don't know exactly when we'll launch them, but yes, it will
Okay.
be over the summer for sure. Yep.
Okay. Do you have a newsletter where people can sign up to like hear more about it, or when you announce it?
I'm pretty big on Instagram and Facebook. I cross post, so one or the
Okay.
other. And we have a newsletter on our website that you can sign up for, and we send out a monthly newsletter, usually around the first week of the month.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure to include that link in the show notes. So for anyone that wants to find you on Instagram or Facebook or sign up for your newsletter to get that announcement on the Advent, or any of your
Yep.
shop news for that matter, I'll make sure to include that in the show notes.
And I think it's funny, but like, I feel like I'm such a small shop because we are tiny. We're only like, I don't know, 1,300 square feet or something, really small. But I feel like sometimes the simplicity of it is refreshing for people because it's not and it's organized, right? So I have everything by collection in the shop. So it's easy for people to shop that way, but I know where everything is. So if they say, "Oh, I need a different red," I know where to go in my shop to get it.
It's
And
not
I don't carry a
overwhelming.
ton of notions either because I try to keep it simple and I only carry the things that I support and that I know how to use.
Okay.
So I don't carry like applique stuff, a ton of applique stuff because I don't applique. So I don't know how
Yeah.
to tell people that, right?
Yeah. So, do
Yes.
you feel like your quilt shop is more traditional or modern or like somewhere in between?
More traditional for sure. Yeah, I don't carry a lot of modern fabrics,
Okay.
or modern patterns or anything. Very, farmhousey style chic, kind of like,
Well, I'm just like
that's pretty much
I feel like the quilt behind you is like very
that's Lori Holt.
yeah, I feel like that's Little Sandy's quilt shop in a
Yep.
nutshell. Before we wrap up, we're going to do a quick rapid fire round. Just answer the first thing that comes to mind, so don't overthink it. Just go with
Okay, okay.
your gut instinct, okay? You ready?
Yeah, ready.
Solids or prints?
Prince.
Pre-cuts or yardage?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Pre-cuts.
Okay. Early morning sewing or late night sewing?
Um, Early morning.
Seam ripper or pretend it didn't happen?
Ooh, seam ripper.
Hand quilting or machine quilting?
Um, Neither. I send it to a long armor.
There you go. Okay.
I don't do it.
Me too. What's your favorite color palette right now?
Ooh, color palette? Well, I'm a huge Lori Holt fan, so I love all of those like vintagey colors. But I'm really loving a new spring line that we just got in. So a lot of the little pastels. Yeah, right now, pastels for
Spring
sure.
vibes right now. I see that. Coffee or tea while you're quilting?
Coffee, 100%.
One fabric line you could sew with forever.
Anything Lori Holt, probably.
Okay. I was like, I feel
but,
like.
but if I had to pick, I would pick low volumes. I have a
Yeah,
huge collection of low volumes in the shop, and I love them. I love making baby quilts out of low volumes.
me too. Yeah. Okay, very cool. So, Sandy, for anyone wanting to know more about your quilt shop, find you on socials, where can we find you?
You can find us at littlesandysquiltshop.com for our online. You can find me locally in Arvada, Colorado. We're just between Golden and Boulder. And on Instagram and Facebook, it's just Little Sandy's Quilt Shop.
Okay, perfect. And sign up for that newsletter like we talked about earlier. I'll make sure I include all of those links in the show notes so people can find you very easily. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for taking the time to share your story and the stories that come through your quilt shop. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Megan, for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to follow or subscribe to the Quilt Scouts podcast so you don't miss future episodes. And if you have a minute, leaving a review is one of the best ways to help this podcast find other quilters who could use a little creativity and community too. You can find show notes and more from Quilt Scouts at quiltscouts.com. Until next time, happy Trail Scout.